Hello, everyone. Welcome to GT Time. I'm your host and moderator, Kyle Bossman, and joining us, as always, is our uniquely talented and knowledgeable panel, including Brandon Jones.
For real.
I still don't get for real.
No joke. No substitutions.
Brandon Jones for real.
Uniquely talented.
And also, Daniel Bloodworth.
Yeah, we're on an arcade cabinet.
What?
You got that tweet? Arcade cabinet.
Oh, yeah. I can even show that.
Yeah.
This is the arcade cabinet. If you're just listening, someone sent a really cool little tweet to us all of showing it a GT Time arcade cabinet.
It's almost as good as the Blood Moon.
It's like, what is the Blood Moon?
The night that they had the Blood Moon, the lunar eclipse,
Yeah.
they put my face on the moon.
Who is they? Who's they?
Twitter.
The
I
internet
don't remember
name.
exactly who.
Because
Yeah.
it is an individual
It was
person.
an individual person.
Yeah. The Blood Moon.
I approve of that.
And lastly, but not leastly, Michael Damiani.
That was actually me who did that, Daniel.
You made the Blood Moon.
No,
No, it wasn't you.
Everyone, it is Independence Day. Happy Independence Day if you live in the U.S.
And another country celebrated a holiday recently. Canada.
Sure.
Apparently.
Happy Canada Day to Canada.
The only reason I know that is because 14 the other night, our raid leader is from Canada, and he got angry he didn't finish in time, so he couldn't go watch the fireworks for their holiday.
Is it actually called Canada Day?
I don't know the official name
It
of
is
it.
called
Don't
Canada
get,
Day.
Don't yell at me.
No, I want to know the specifics of the story. So you're in a raid, right?
Yeah.
You're in a dungeon.
No, we're fighting a boss.
Okay, you're fighting a boss, and suddenly one of the guys is like, hey, come on, hurry up.
Well, we usually raid for a 2-hour period, and
Yeah.
we were doing 2 things that we've already cleared the last few weeks. So
Yeah. Should have
it was
been easy.
He was like, "Can we just get through this sooner than later, so I can have time to enjoy fireworks?"
Yeah.
And then before start of one of the attempts, he's like, "I gotta go AFK," and he went away for 10 minutes to go watch some of the fireworks.
Does he actually type A into his
No,
comments?
we're using Mumble, so we're voice
Oh,
chatting
okay.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So we had to he tried to drag his table to the outside so he could watch them while he was playing, but then it didn't work, so we had to hear him dragging his table back. And
I don't mean to sidetrack us too much, but why do humans like fireworks so much? Humans have watched fireworks for I think more than 1,000 years. We've just loved
They're so
staring.
cool.
Are they?
They're so cool, man. It's because it's not a light show. It's not you think about excited how we get for a movie, and this is just something that's on film that's being projected. 1 billion people are going to see the same exact thing.
Yeah, but it has a
Where it's
story
when that
and characters.
But when that explosion happens, it's like somebody wrapped that up, prepared all of that stuff into one little thing, and that was it. It's gone. It's like a snowflake. It's
man.
that was it. That explosion. You had to be there for that moment, and it's gone.
You get that
It's just
thud
ash
against your
being
chest.
sent out to the wind.
Dogs running into bathrooms to hide. Everything.
100
Well, 9
billion
yards.
Chinese people
I was
can't
just
be wrong,
gonna say.
man.
Unless you live in Anaheim near Disneyland, where you see the fireworks go off every single night.
But even from that's why I like staying at the hotels around there and having the side at the that's facing the park, so you can see the fireworks show from the hotel.
Well, that's a
Disneyland
great
plays
thing.
the music during the fireworks, though. That's a whole other thing. Once you get that music rolling, I'm crying during fireworks. It's weird.
But no, the great thing though about moving to LA, is that here nobody cares if fireworks are illegal. They're just going off all over town. You just get on the roof and look around. You're like, hey, there's fireworks.
Yeah, you just hear booms. It's like, oh no, that's a firework. It happens.
Actually,
constantly.
yes, I just pulled in when I parked the other night, and there's what's that? Oh, fireworks.
Firework. Yeah. Not a gunshot. Nothing. Before
So
we get,
Kyle Bossman doesn't like fireworks. Moving on.
I still like fireworks. I think it's an innate human thing. Our stupid human brains love fireworks, and they always will.
I'm just gonna throw fireworks at you in the parking lot.
Like,
huh? You like them?
The internet will do whatever it can. You know what I mean? Entertainment will evolve. We'll get VR goggles, but we're still gonna take them off while we're in our raids and go look out the window to watch the fireworks. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, you remember when they tried to do the fireworks game on PS2, Fantavision or whatever?
Yeah, one of the launch games.
People kind of freaked out about that for a little bit, and then everyone realized it was lame.
Yeah. That's a launch game effect, I think. Before we get too into video game news, we do have not a correction but a clarification this week. Last week, our own Michael Damiani was bumbling through a story about an MMO he played once, in which there was a giant spider on a building. Our devoted fans commented below and said, "Hey, Damiani, that's clearly Vindictus."
Yep.
What do you have to say for yourself?
So, how many games I've played since then? It was kind of hard to remember that name. It was I knew it was some one word, and I was like, man, I used to know this name very well, and then I just stopped caring about that game. As I explained.
Yeah, it made waves for a little bit.
Yeah, but people, you were. It was just funny seeing your reaction. Every game has spiders in it, and your reaction was like, this could be any game, Damiani. Like, what? Be
Yeah,
more
and then-
specific.
but then
I was like,
immediately
no, that's like
everyone-
the beginning of
yeah.
the game. That's like the tutorial. Then it brought a smile to my face to see the commenters go, Damiani's talking about Vindictus. Like,
Yeah.
they knew immediately, and I was like, these guys, they're smart.
You wish that
We're not smart.
Right.
They're pretty smart.
You want a podcast with those people and not with us, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the GT commenter podcast.
No, that's fair. It would be a good podcast, to be honest. But let's get into the big news of the week. Oh, and corrections music. We can't have that going the whole show.
Thank goodness.
Dodged a bullet there. Our first story this week, we got a lot of tiny news. I think that we're in that past E3 thing where we're not going to hit huge news for a while, no big game releases and things. So all of our news this week are like weird little stories that I think are interesting. Firstly, Bungie's Destiny won't be mature like Halo, according to ESRB, which just means that it will have a teen rating. My question to all of you, how much do you believe an M rating constricts a video game audience?
It has to, sales-wise. I mean, it's got to have some sort of effect on paper, but I think it just depends on the game's identity. I remember, actually, my neighbors had a party for their kids where they had like a big like motorhome or something that drove up that had like HD TVs inside of it. It was like, if you don't have consoles, we'll bring the consoles. It's kind of catering, but for games.
Oh, right, yeah.
And so all the kids came inside, and some of the parents, I walked over, I'm like, wow, this is cool. You're playing games, and I like games. And I guess some of the parents got upset about Halo. They were like, oh, they're playing Halo inside. And some of the kids were like, 12 or 13. They might be too young for that. And I remember at the time thinking like, yeah, but it's Halo. I guess there's blood, but it's like alien blood. Like, I never considered any part of any Halo game I've ever played to be mature. I guess there's like the screaming skull enemies in Halo 4, which I still haven't played. So like they're kind of freakish.
Oh, the
and I
things
guess
that, like,
they've
open up.
I guess they've done a little bit more to make. I think Halo 4 was a little bit scarier than maybe some of the other Halo games. But Halo mature, I don't know. It doesn't really sound like
It's
they're gonna do
always been
something.
one of those weird ones to me. It's like, well, just ignore that rating, because as you said, like aside from some blood splatter on the ground, it's like you're a dude that doesn't even look like a dude because you're just completely armored up. It's just like shooting a bunch of plastic men.
So, I mean, here's what I think, though. I think that, Halo wasn't that violent, and it wasn't just people swearing all the time and showing topless women. It wasn't necessarily a very mature game, but I think if it were rated teen, I don't think it would have done as well. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a thing that's like, let's say they did Breaking Bad, and it's just like, we're not doing TVMA, we're making it TV-14. People would complain,
No, nobody would care about it because nobody even looks at that stupid thing.
But no. So like, if they brought it down, there's a perception, I think. So let's say if there was Game of Thrones, and it's just like, Game of Thrones, we're sensitizing a little bit. We're gonna make it TV-14.
Yeah.
People would think already.
Except
hey,
nobody pays attention to TV ratings.
Like the
It's a little
more tangible
weirder.
experience examples of like the remake movies come like RoboCop. Like,
Yeah.
they don't make it R. And it's
Yeah.
like that movie
Yeah,
was known
that's
for
a-
that
yeah.
gratuitous violence. And
Yeah.
they do a remake and it's PG-13. It's like, no, this isn't going to happen. Like,
Exactly.
It's not gonna be as good.
Yeah, I think there's a perception around a rating. I absolutely do think there is. And do you think like that will affect Destiny in any way? Do you think people are disappointed that it's not rated M for mature?
I mean, I don't think for Destiny, because I don't think enough people are going to do the one-to-one comparison like, oh, this is like the new Halo. I don't think enough people are going to think like that. I think in this instance, it's not going to matter. I think the marketing team and the salespeople probably decided to say, let's just make this teen because it expands potential market for people who will buy this game. When in reality, even if it was M or T, everyone was just going to buy it, and no one's going to make a comparison to Halo for that game in terms of like the maturity level. As you were saying, like no one's gonna be like, Halo is way more mature than this game. Like they really toned down the violence in Destiny. Like I don't like this game as much. It's not like authentic or some crap like that. It's just someone in their higher ups probably just said this makes sense to us. If it maybe they're like think like us, like oh M or teen doesn't matter, so why not just throw a teen on there so we're like safe? Like at least we have a bigger like potential audience.
So I almost feel like M is safer than teen in video game worlds. If you look at Call of Duty, if you look at GTA, I think that games that are rated M normally perform way better than games that are rated T for teen.
Sure. Mortal Kombat X isn't going to
Oh.
sell a lot because it's like the absolute cutting edge of awesome, balanced
Oh, yeah.
fighting game technology.
But those specific examples, I think they've made a name for themselves based on that type of stuff. Being like a mature game, having the violence, having the sex, having the drugs. That's the type of stuff you expect.
What game are you talking about? I like it already.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you were trying to say that like a teen game won't do as well as a mature game in general. And those games, obviously, if Grand Theft Auto 6 came out was teen, we'd be having like every news outlet would be doing headlines about that, like what's going on, or Mortal Kombat. Yeah, if that happened. But I knew like there are plenty of games that I think are rated teen or lower that sell perfectly well. I don't think.
One. Give me one.
Smash Brothers.
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart is rated T for teen?
No, or less. Teen or less, I said.
See, I think T for teen is this gully. It's this horrible area where like
Twilight
nobody will buy it.
Princess.
Did not sell well.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, pretty much every Zelda's teen.
I think the
They're never
Zeldas
gonna
are
go
T.
mature on that,
I
yeah.
think Skyward Sword I think was E.
10.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I think Zelda Twilight Princess actually was the only one to get a teen rating.
yeah. Pretty cool.
I think the other ones had E or E10 or whatever the heck.
It's so
they
dark.
was.
It was
I
such
think
a
there
dark-
also is an expectation for. I know it's kind of it's tough to like directly classify Destiny as an MMO, but that's kind of what they're going for. They want to like make the biggest steps in bridging that gap between your traditional linear first-person shooter and like a more Borderlands for for everyone kind of approach. And I think those big games tend to be towards acceptable by a younger audience because they're going to keep dumping content onto it, and all that old content will still be there, just like an MMO, just like Warcraft. And so it would make sense for them to do like one really gory expansion to Warcraft that just stands, is really stands in contrast to all the other content they're doing.
I bet World of Warcraft is T for teen, isn't it?
Sure, yeah. And so it's like,
I get that,
and
yeah.
so like just by by law, like they never really go too far because it's all got to fit into the same world. Whereas something like Halo, they can make kind of a you can have something like Phantom Pain where he's got blood all over his face, and you can have a Revengeance which is like bloody but more of a kind of cartoony thing, and is not like so serious and deals with actual like war events and stuff like that. But they're both Metal Gear, whereas something like as big and overreaching as Destiny, it's like let's just keep it all under the umbrella of being safe for everybody so that we can keep adding to it and not worry about, that one corner of the game being, don't go there. That part isn't for kids.
I just feel like there's a perspective on this that I feel like we need like parents or the kids who are under the age limit for those games who like speak about this.
Yeah,
to me,
that
I
party.
just, I
Exactly.
just don't actively think about ratings anymore. I just don't. It doesn't whoop-de-doo. Like the only thing I ever think about ratings is when you go to the ESRB site to see if a game got leaked. That's like the only time a rating ever matters. Like, game got classified as E. Here's a game we haven't heard about.
Or some like story leaks.
Yeah,
within the
or
rating,
if it's abnormal. Like if GTA were ever to get a rating other than M, that would be newsworthy. But otherwise, in general, when I'm selecting a game just because of our age, we don't care anymore. I don't think.
Yeah.
But I think if you had parents or if you had like teenagers to talk about this, it might be a whole different perspective. Like teenagers would be like, "Oh man, if it's M, I definitely gotta play that game because it's like off limit stuff." Versus like, maybe like teen, teen game. Like I'm already teen. Like whoop de doo. I don't know.
I think those people. I definitely think those kids.
yeah,
Our
there's
parents might
definitely
be like,
Yeah.
mature game. That's like R. My kid can't touch that. Or I don't know. That's the perspective I think we don't have.
Really quick before we move on, Blood. What was your first game you played that was rated M for mature?
Oh. I mean, it was probably Mortal Kombat, but I don't remember because, the ratings weren't around.
Yeah,
so.
and they were created for Mortal Kombat, actually.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
What was your experience playing Mortal Kombat?
my experience playing Mortal Kombat?
Yeah. So that was your first violent game you've ever played. What was that
Yeah,
like?
I was very much weird on the fence with that stuff. I was actually the defender of Nintendo because I didn't like it going that extreme with the blood and stuff. But then it still had they still had fatalities in the game. So it was kind of like, what were they even doing?
So you weren't for it. You weren't into the Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I was actually kind of against a lot of that stuff. But it didn't make any sense because I still played the games with my friends.
Yeah. Ratings are dumb.
Yeah.
This should not be anybody's concern.
Yeah, what is the Legend of Zelda games like? What are they rated? I've never thought about that for a second. Because there are games that aren't rated M that I would recommend to my friends. Like, don't have your kids play that. That's a weird game.
Right.
Because that game's going to bring up all the wrong questions.
Yeah.
And there are some games that do have an M rating where it's like it's all in good fun. It's
Halo,
not, no one's
definitely
kidding.
Halo.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not going to scar your kids.
Someone in the comments section for the news story said, in reference to the Destiny thing, said like any game that's online is rated M because of the language that you're about
Yeah,
to
you just
share.
have to mute everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah.
Well, that's a good point too, because Call of Duty, if all you're playing is multiplayer, then just like Halo, it's the single player where all the crazy stuff happens.
Yeah. Other Destiny news this week is such a strange story. This one's so weird to me. Peter Dinklage's Destiny voice work is already being updated, according to an official Bungie blog post. Updated.
We don't know what that means.
Yeah, Bloodworth, explain why you put that in quotation marks.
Oh, because there were some people that were like initially, thinking that meant they were re-recording it, and now it sounds like that's not the case.
Right.
So yeah, we'll see if it matches Ryan Stevens' experiments.
Yeah. So this is so weird to me. I can't remember another instance with a game this big where someone was complaining about voice acting. Do you know what I mean? Maybe this is something we've been taking for granted for a long time, but I can't remember like a huge game where it's just like, oh, that voice acting is bad.
The only thing I think of was like Japanese games where you'll have like a translation or something.
Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah, 13 was
Sure.
a big issue. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is more about like this was in English first. This is the primary language,
Yeah.
like how people complaining about it in that fashion.
And that stuff's like, oh, I see what Square Enix was doing, I just don't agree with it. Whereas this is like, what happened? What's going on? Yeah, I think they just didn't. I mean, you look at all the stuff that Bungie has on their plate moving forward with this game. Like all the issues that they have, making this game playable by all these people at the same time. So it's like, keeping these servers up and making sure it runs smoothly is like absolutely paramount. And VO's like on that back burner somewhere, in some other office.
Yeah.
And so I think they were really surprised when it's like, you're kidding me. All these things you can complain about, and like this is it. This is like the main, joke talking point coming out of that early advance weekend. So I just think they weren't. I don't think they thought. I think they were all legitimately surprised that people cared that much about the VO.
And they made a
They're
t-shirt
like,
about
because
it.
it's Dinklage and it sounds like him and he's in the game, and yeah, we might improve it later, but we're not even thinking about that now. And then all of a sudden, we all kind of made it the news story. We made it the major concern.
To be honest, I'm surprised too. I'm like surprised that because like maybe I'm just like I don't understand what bad voice acting is. Like I listened to it and I'm not like I didn't understand what was like bad about it. As like I don't get the hubbub. And
I think because
it's quite
I
a
think you
hubbub.
can
I was very
hear-
much questioning him. Like, is that really Peter Dinklage? 'Cause
I think
it
you
just
can.
did not
Yeah,
sound good.
it's one thing if you have a bad performance,
Yeah.
but it's that you can hear him reading things. That I can see him in the booth passing that line off, just being like, "What the hell does this mean? I don't know." And you can hear that inflection in his voice when he's saying that, and that's where
funny.
the question comes up, where it's like, "Okay, is that temp or is that like
And
did
it's
he
not.
do that?" Yeah, and so I think that's the concern. It's kind of like a politician, when they're like saying one thing, but you look in their eyes and it's like, I know you're bullshitting me right
So
now.
you hear some judgment in the voice even. I think that would be a big deal. I could totally understand why that would be a huge deal.
Not even judgment, just something else. There's something in his mind going on right now that's not him just phoning it in. That's not like him just doing some weird performance thing. Like he plays a very monotone character. He plays a character that is it's 343 Guilty Spark. It's supposed to be that just kind of monotone,
orb.
like
Sure.
I'm just a guy. Everything I say is always going to sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it was just dull, that would be one thing. But there are just some takes where it's like he was thinking something there. He was expressing to you, the director, that he didn't understand what was being read, and they were like, "Good take, moving on," and it's like. So, and granted, I mean, how much dialogue does he have in that game?
I think
it's
a lot.
Yeah, so it was probably in their best interest to just move through that as fast as they possibly could, but a little too fast, I think.
So I wanted to bring up one line that was in that blog post. Funny thing about alpha builds, they're not done. Which is just like, hey, don't judge us yet. You know what I mean? Don't judge the VO yet. It's an alpha build. Which is, I mean, it's its own thing. Usually I feel like alpha, it's like, hold on, let us add more to whatever. Anyway, but what I wanted to talk about that is I think that this alpha was very helpful for Destiny. I think that it didn't come out of E3 too hot. I didn't think that not a lot of us were being like, oh, Destiny, dude, you got to go play it. You got to go to their station. You got to try that out. But I think that actually sitting down in an alpha, not having a demo, but having, an hour or two to play it, really helped that game. Damiani, do you think there should be more public alphas?
I mean, I would say yes. I know there's always the fear that if you put something out too early, there's backlash from it.
Right.
But the good thing is there's still time to change it. That's not like your last chance. Like everyone always says, like, oh, your first impression is the one that counts the most. But it's not always. I don't believe that's always like true when it comes to like especially like games.
Yeah.
Because you do that alpha. Maybe it's not well received. You promise changes. You come back like, hey, we're giving you another free like weekend to try it out. We've made the changes. Everyone come back, try it again. There are tangible examples out there of game doing really bad at even the retail version, and then coming back and fixing it later, and then people coming back to play it even after they paid for it once. Like there is examples of that, and I feel that is a good mentality to have. It's also good because especially because you mentioned like it was playable at E3, like was the buzz around it was like ho hum from like the press that was there and the industry people. But one of the things that has been not so great about E3 is it was more, there wasn't like I didn't feel like there's a communication going on between the publishers and developers and the press, and the fact that they're open to listening. There used to be a mentality that like, hey, what you play at E3 is pretty much what you're going to see at the final game, like because it's so close to being done. Like, oh yeah, they'll probably be fixed. Then you go play it and like, oh, I saw this at E3. This was an issue they had there. They didn't do anything about it. Doing something like this and getting that feedback, and it shows that there's a willingness to change, I think. And the more companies are willing to do the public side of it, because those are people actually buying it. If you don't want to listen to us, fine, that's cool. Like, no, you don't need us or something. That's
we don't
fine.
even know what a Vindictus is.
Yeah, fine. But the public, these are the people who are going to be buying your games and paying your salaries. So it might be a good idea to give them some kind of controlled access to see how they feel about the stuff. Screw the shitty little focus test with like 10 people. Put it out there and let everyone like have a good discussion about it. I feel that's more productive than the selective feedback that some companies go for through focus testing. Through we have a press junket. Like, hey, the 10 journalists here who probably aren't very good at games to begin with. What do you think about our game and stuff? Like, let's get some feedback. And it's like, that's such a small sampling. Like,
and also a bad environment. You know what I mean?
This is letting people play it on their own terms anywhere. Yeah. It's not that nice setup that the publishers put out for you with the nice Astro headsets and the nice big TVs and the nice couch to sit on and stuff like that, or the elaborate E3 booth where you can't hear anything anyway. So it's like,
I think this stuff can only work out for people. I'm curious if we see this more of a trend of just kind of like getting that stuff out there early, seeing what that giant issue is that everyone has a problem with, and you go, oh, who'd have thought Dinklage? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
We dodged a bullet there. No one's really like freaking out about balance or network issues or any of that stuff.
Yeah, the rest of it we all seem to like a lot.
If we could pick and choose what you would have an issue with, Dinklage, no problem.
I mean, I think it's better for a big project like this. It's like they're already full steam ahead, and especially because it's fully online. Like, let's actually make sure everything works. That kind
absolutely,
of but it's with this like smaller stuff, like the early access and stuff on Steam. Like, I feel like those people don't actually know what they're doing, and so.
You mean the developers?
Yeah, like a lot of the times, like it's not very clear. Like, okay, it's on early access, and when does it come out? Like, you have no idea.
It's usually when we finish it is when it comes out.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, even when it's finished, is it finished? Like, they're still fixing things, and then you see, these projects that, people don't actually finish. They kind of abandon and that kind of thing. So I think it's better, like, when you're on this plan, it's like, okay, this is the alpha, then this is the beta, and then this is release. And you have those things set up rather than just like putting it out there. Let's see what people think of it, and then start figuring out what we're going to finish.
I guess a really strange thing to me, lastly, about this alpha was at the PlayStation press conference. They said, and PlayStation owners will be the first people to be able to play Destiny because it's the alpha. You know what I mean? And so like this alpha, this PlayStation 4 only alpha was kind of like. An advantage of owning a PlayStation. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's weird to see alphas used that way because, yes, all those things we talked about of like working out kinks and things like that shouldn't be like, I get to do that. You know what I mean? It's like, here, Bungie, let me help you figure out your game. But it's the sort of thing where it's just like, an exclusive demo. I get to spend time in this game. That's why I should own a PlayStation 4. Brandon, do you see this used more as like marketing, even alphas?
Oh yeah, sure. And I think it's just an interesting mind game on the part of Bungie right now to be like, we didn't know that's a change. We're not sure what we're going to do about the VO and kind of be coy about it. And which is again why I think this. Yeah, I definitely see this being something that the companies explore in the future, where it's like we'll just kind of put that out there and then pretend that we're surprised about like, that thing came up. Well, that's an issue that we're dealing with, but it was all like we were saying, they put it out there so they could tell like what are going to be those major issues that we need to work on.
And we were happy to do it.
Yeah, but if we but instead of being like, oh, okay, we addressed that that's an issue or a failing on our part, they're not going to own up to that. They're just going to be like, oh, no, everything with Dinklage is what we wanted to have happen.
It's an alpha.
We'll just maybe make changes based on what you said, or we're not sure what we're going to do. Whereas like behind the closed doors, they're like, okay, Dinklage, how do we fix it? You know?
Yeah.
But they don't put up that front, and then they don't lose face. The game gets better.
Everybody wins.
Because something's going to happen. Like, things always naturally happen like that people will call out socially. Like, you know, people want to do something on Twitter, and then it just backfires and totally goes in another direction.
Oh, yeah, we all get attached to it. Yeah, exactly.
So knowing that's going to happen, it's like, well, don't pretend it's not or fear it. You know, just, like, put it out there. Let it happen organically.
Like Blood said, make the T-shirt.
And use it. And use it to your advantage.
Yeah.
You know, make your own That Wizard Came from the Moon shirts. Like, address it directly.
That was cool. So, yeah, I think it was a good call. I think the alpha was a good call. It was definitely weird. It's definitely going to happen more. But this one worked, I guess we can say. I don't know if it will work for every game. Speaking of I don't know if it will work, Ouya is offering a $60 per year subscription to play every game available on its service. My question to this panel, does anyone here find that appealing?
No.
Would anyone here buy an Ouya for this?
No.
Would you buy an Ouya for anything?
No.
Okay.
No, this is like an MMO going free to play. It's like, uh-oh.
It is like that. It definitely
If a free to play MMO gets announced, I'm like, wow, that sounds cool. But if a
Yeah.
game's like, no, we're doing subscription, and then a month later, like, no, we're doing free to play, it's never a good sign.
Yeah. It seems like a real bad sign.
I mean, why would I commit to $60 a year for what's coming out on the Ouya next year? I don't know.
Yeah, Broken Age is the one they're advertising, but yeah.
That's exactly like, well, no. Why would I do that?
Because it is a great value. Here's the thing, that is a great value. It's a $100 console, maybe $90, and you just pay another $60, you can play like 2,000 games. That's just great value, is for some reason completely unappealing. Damiani, do you know why this is so unappealing?
Because it's Ouya.
What is Ouya? Like, what happened?
It kind of reminds me about like when the GameCube came out. It's like if your parents bought you a Nintendo 64 instead, but they got like 50 games with it because it was like really old and like the parents think like that's the value for my kid. They'll like that more because getting more games. But you're like, no, you don't understand. I need the GameCube because that just came out.
Yeah,
it's kind of the same thing where it's
Absolutely.
just like, oh, I can see some parent or grandparent being like, oh my God, look at this value that I'm giving my child, and the child's like, you just don't understand. I don't care about any of these games. I spent all weekend playing 100 games that were on this console, and they were all terrible. Or just not something I would really want to invest like a ton of time with if Watch Dogs is out and all these other games are out.
I think it's exactly that. Like what bums me out is that Ouya had a ton of support when it was a Kickstarter project. And there were so many people excited about it, just this digital future. This was before PS4 and Xbox One were announced, and people were like, Ouya, this is what's going to really be the next gen. This is going to be it. I don't know. Were they excited for the future of Ouya, or were they excited for just like a little emulator box? Like, Blood, what happened to all that enthusiasm?
It got met with reality. I don't know. It's the support really.
Do you think it's really the support? Do you think if there were more games on it, like exclusive to Ouya, that
the thing is the problem is it's not like it can do something that somebody else can't do. It's not. It plays a lot of the same types of games that you could get on PC, you could get on a Wii U, you could get on a 3DS. Mm-hmm. It's just like, who's releasing their games where, and as long as somebody has the resources, they're going to put it out wherever they can to try to make money. If it, just like Towerfall. Towerfall was, great game on the Ouya. But on the PS4 now, I'm fine with that.
It's got more characters.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Roku. But like the Roku's got a good sell because it's pitching itself to people who like want that service to be simplified. They're like, I don't want to have to figure out on the current thing I have all of these systems.
Yeah.
But if like my son buys it for me and like HBO's on it, I'm done. Whereas like for us, we're not gonna seek out the Ouya for our gaming needs.
Yeah,
we're
none of
play
us
it on the systems we love and know. And
right. Nobody here is saying video games are too complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. It just you just don't. Nobody make consoles. Stop it. I mean, even Steam, there's question marks there. There's a little bit of uncertainty, and that's like Valve and Steam.
With the
It's
Steam
like,
machines?
my God, what a dominant presence to like take a crack at that.
Yeah.
And that even could go south. So.
And that the Amazon box is the same way with the Kindle Fire
Oh,
or Fire
my gosh.
TV or
Fire
whatever
TV.
it's called. Yeah,
Kindle Fire TV.
They have exclusives, but do you hear anyone talk about them? That's the problem. Is even if you have good games, somebody has to tell you what the good games are.
Yeah.
They have 100 crappy games and 2 good ones. Well, what are the good ones?
Like the Wii U barely has a sustaining library. Like
okay, whoa. All right, let's not.
I'm saying it's sustaining, but barely.
It's the best library.
Looking forward, yeah, but those games aren't out yet.
Oh my gosh! Even right now, even if we looked at the library, oh my gosh! All right, well that's a conversation.
It has great exclusives, not a great library overall.
Oh, its library is insane.
But the point is, I'm saying you have to be consistent. You have to just barrage people with amazing.
You're saying even Nintendo's
opportunities to
having
play
troubles.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I think the Wii U library is legit though.
Which is why I own one. Oh wait.
Oh man. All those games you missed out on. Donkey Kong.
I know. Oh. I stay awake at night. I'm telling you. Donkey Kong Dreams.
Okay, we might have a quick one here. This one I'm pointing towards Michael Damiani. Final Fantasy creator reveals his latest title, Terra Battle.
F this.
This is a Mistwalker game.
No.
It's a free-to-play RPG
No.
for smartphones.
Nope.
Michael Damiani, is this worth getting excited about, or should we just move on?
Bye.
Okay, you heard him. That's it. We're not talking about that anymore. BYE.
I don't know anything about that game.
Yeah, who does? They're like, we're still looking for game developers to help us. It's coming out in September.
I saw the headline freemium. I was like, done.
Yep.
Congratulations, they
Mistwalker.
become Square Enix, where every new a modded title, Android, iOS.
Do they spend 50 cents to
New
get
Final
to Not
Fantasy
the Moon?
game, iOS. Everything
Probably.
iOS.
Yeah.
I went to these Japanese companies. Everything was iOS.
Yeah. And then you walked. Yeah.
If you could play
Little
Terra Battle or anything on the Ouya, what would you play?
Oh, good question. I like this.
There's like some classic games on Ouya that you can play. Like I remember when I was trying to do the update for Pop Fiction for Sonic, you could play for the Hidden Palace Zone. You could play Sonic 2 on there.
Wait, are you emulating it or did you buy it?
No, like real. Like there's a Android version.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
So you could play it on there. So with a controller. So it's like, hey, the only other way to play it was on iOS with the stupid iPhone controls. I was like, nope.
Yeah, with your thumbs on the screen.
Nope.
Yeah,
I was like, not doing that. Although I ended up having to do that, which sucked. But I ended up learning to play with touchscreen.
Michael
controls.
Damiani is the biggest Ouya fan amongst us.
No, you just
that's you.
basically
You're the biggest.
gave me a choice here.
You're a guy. You chose it. I'm going to go play
You
Terra
gave me
Battle.
two options.
I'm playing Terra Battle. If you're between the two, I'm going Terra Battle.
But I mean,
You don't even know what it
from
is.
someone like Sakaguchi, you want a project where they say like The Witcher. It's like we've always wanted to make
Oh,
this
you're
game.
right. That's so
We've
depressing.
always wanted
They
to
need
do
to go
this.
Kickstarter.
And like Terra Battle clearly is not something where he's just like, I've always had this idea and I just never had the right platform to do it. And
Yeah.
now mobile is finally realizing that. It's just like they were like, hey, mobile game,
Money.
give us something.
Yep.
And he was like, okay. And
I hate
threw something
that fate
together.
for some of those developers. It's like if you're not working on something that's too big budget, you have to be making like a mobile game. Like going to the Sega Judges Week and seeing the creator of Crazy Taxi, new Crazy Taxi, awesome. It's for mobile phones and it's got microtransactions. I just felt like,
Don't you buy gas in that game?
yeah, like you run out of gas, you can buy more gas.
That's
But
so
like,
effed.
I just was like, really, really, this is what you're doing to this guy? I was like, come on. Now I know why like people like Higurashi like left,
Yeah.
Right.
because like, hey, you can make a freemium Castlevania iPhone game with touch controls, or you can just keep doing nothing and crying over Castlevania Judgment.
Is he still crying about that, you think?
I don't know. That game was pretty bad. So.
All right, that was a good. We gave Terra Battle a legitimate discussion. That was more than I thought it would get.
We've talked about it more than Sakaguchi has, hasn't
We
we?
didn't
Sure.
really talk about the game
More than
whatsoever,
you
but
guys.
okay.
Next story: former Gears of War designer Cliff Bleszinski coming out of retirement to make video games again. Daniel Bloodworth, what are your hopes and expectations for Cliff Bleszinski?
I don't know.
Yeah, what are your hopes?
That he doesn't make a game that looks exactly like Gears?
I guarantee he won't.
Yeah, I'm sure he won't either. But maybe go back to something along the lines of Unreal.
Because that's like, I mean, basically, it's weird he says he's out of retirement because he's been talking like he's been making a game for a long time. He said, like, my next game won't have a retell.
But isn't he
this.
talking about doing like a smaller, like self-published type thing, or what is he talking about?
I think in the past he openly said, "Hey, I'm going to make an arena shooter." So it's so weird that he's just like, "I'm out of retirement" when he's already saying like things about game development this whole year. But yeah, I think he wants to make an arena shooter, which I think would be pretty cool. However, the concept art he showed also has nothing to do with anything that looks like an arena shooter. He's being weird. Cliff Bleszinski's being weird.
Angry Birds shooter to fight up against Plants vs Zombies.
No, go on. How does this work?
I don't know.
I'm gonna hold you to this little joke.
It'll be like Battlefield Destruction. You know, you launch a bird at a building and it falls on your enemy.
So
I don't know.
Do you pull the bird back and then you become the bird while you're in the air? It's like first person and like you like can shoot.
Yeah, that game actually exists still. What was it called? It was that XBLA game.
Oh, but that was like.
Oh yeah,
was that the one where you had to? It was Kinect though.
No,
It was
No,
like
no, it's not
Smacketeer,
Kinect.
Racketeer,
Racketeer,
Yeah, Racketeer is the Kinect one.
it has Kinect.
So something like that. That's our
no
hopes.
one-
That he makes
Nah,
something
I
Are you
like
thinking
don't
about
know.
the Keflings game? Maybe it was the Keflings one. What? I don't know.
You're thinking about Pain, I think.
Yeah, better without Kinect.
Better without Kinect.
That's the real model.
Most things are. That's
Yes.
the case. Yeah, that's weird. It's weird for him to. I mean, don't say you're out of retirement without showing us anything. I feel like because you've been talking about game design this whole year. I'm excited for whatever it is. I think it's going to be cool. I think that he has enough. He's not in this position where he has to make a mobile game, is what I'm saying. He's got he can probably fund a decent game and get money to make a decent game. The game, like you said, I always wanted to make this game. I think Cliff Bleszinski's in a position to be able to do that kind of thing.
I don't get that feeling though. I think he's just going to make something fun. I don't know if I don't get the vibe. Like you were saying, it might be a smaller thing. I don't get the vibe. It's just like, okay, all resources in on this, but like this is fun. This is something that I don't mind coming to work every day. Ooh,
Oh my gosh!
this.
What is that? Weird.
Just an angry gargoyle on the roof.
But like this is fun. This is something that I don't mind sitting with developers and playing day after day, you know. And it's not something like a Gears where it's like, Gears 3. I guess we got to wrap this story up and make it super serious. I hope it's something a little more irreverent, something a little funnier, something more like what was the shooter where you were kicking guys into cactuses?
Bulletstorm?
Bulletstorm, yeah.
Yeah.
No, make Bulletstorm.
We said it's an arena shooter. Like
Yeah,
I don't want a serious arena shooter with like a plot, you know,
Yeah.
and like. You know, characters that is just like, no, these guys are brother sister, and and like I don't care, just something.
But I don't want to just like kicked you in the nuts. I don't want like that game. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of arena based games coming. So who knows?
You remember when David Jaffe was doing Calling All Cards?
I just thought of David Jaffe. Actually, that was like the major name that
Yeah,
popped to the
it's a
front.
very
When he's
similar
like,
thing.
new thing. The guy, God of War guy's making
It's
something
like,
else.
I'm really excited about this. It's like it's a little tiny. It's like fun.
Could be-
you know
could be
what I mean?
that,
It's
yeah.
tiny. Well, nobody liked Calling. Well, people liked Calling All Cards. I don't think David Jaffe likes Calling All Cards today.
But if it is something calling all cars level, it wouldn't be smart the way he's approaching it. That's just
Yeah.
like making an announcement later this week. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's this little thing.
I don't know. I think he should follow his heart and not go after a funny little fun thing because then it could be Calling All Cards in the end.
And Cliffy's got a lot of heart.
He's got a lot of heart.
He's for real.
He's Brandon Jones for real.
For
Cliff
real.
Bleszinski for real. Who else is on this list of for reals?
Vindictus or Vindictus.
Dictus also for real.
Very real.
Evolve and No Man's Sky won this year's E3 Game Critic Awards.
And somehow the crew.
Wow.
I just don't even.
Should give a little background. Daniel Bloodworth, racing aficionado of GameTrailers.com. Very bitter, I'd say, that the crew won Best of E3 as in the racing genre. What's wrong with the crew?
I mean, the controls are not that great. The visuals
Which
are
is
not
important
that
in a
great.
racing game. Very important in a
It has
racing.
really good load times.
Hey, man, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I think it's just something. I think it's something new. It's got a bigger sell than what was Forza your racing game in the show? What was the
Yeah.
Horizon 2, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, the crew is still very much Test Drive Unlimited. I mean, it's not exactly the same guys, but I think there's a lot of guys from that team, and it seems very similar. And it's
I think Brandon's got a point that it's an easier pitch.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, I mean, Forza's demo did not show you what was great about Forza Horizon whatsoever.
Right.
I think Drive Club's demo did better about that this year. It was fun to compete, get up there and race with the group.
Did
of
you have a
dudes.
club in the demo? You had a
Yeah,
drive
yeah.
club?
It was like
Cool.
like 4 versus 4 or something like that. So that was fun.
But
But what?
you're really not into the Game Critics' Choice Awards winner.
For the crew. No, I'm and the other thing too is that demo for somebody who's played the crew a couple of times is like, oh, here's that same race again that I played 2 months ago. You know, like I got nothing new out of E3. Like I got more out of the preview event. You know, where we played it for a couple hours. This was just okay.
Daniel Butterworth, why aren't you one of the Game Critics?
I don't know. Jeff Keighley has to ask me or something. I don't know how you get in that group.
But he's like permitted. You get like it's really cool. You like open the envelope, like, oh, I'm a game critic. I get to go. Basically, I think this list is pretty silly. I think that to have a definitive winner of E3 that isn't associated to any individual outlet is kind of like senseless. Evolve is a legit looking game. You know what I mean? It looks okay, but it's weird to be like, hey, you had a good job at E3. It's a pointless award.
Well, what was weird was Evolve won console game, but then Rainbow Six won PC game.
Sure.
And the only thing I can wrap my head around is that must have been what they are demoed on.
Okay.
Because otherwise,
absolutely,
those games are on both PCs and consoles. Why did you pick one for one and one for the other?
Yeah. Evolve's also best of show.
Well, I always look past awards. I always kind of like my brain moves through them. Like I never consider an award like the end all be. The award isn't the end of anything. It's just kind of like where we're going. Like that was the focus. That's what I take from those awards. It's like those were the focus moving forward.
Sure.
So it's always interesting to look back. Like say I think it's going to explode when it comes out. But say No Man's Sky doesn't do well. You know, say we get it and it doesn't review well and it's just broken. There's all these issues. Every planet's purple, which is my fear. You know, it's just like it's not as diverse a game as we possibly did. We can look back at E3 and be like, isn't it interesting that it was the game of the show at E3? That like when we looked back, that was the one we all, you know, that and Evolve.
I mean, we could do that
and oh, how the mighty have fallen, or oh, that game wasn't a top pick at E3 and ended up being our game of the year.
Sure, can we do that? Can we do that for Titanfall then? Titanfall last year's E3 Game Critic Awards. Can we say, look how far Titanfall has fallen?
I love Titanfall.
I still have not once played Titanfall.
Yeah.
So
why not? What's your deal?
Are
you going to play Evolve?
I did play Evolve, and I'm interested in Evolve. Yeah.
So to me, they're both multiplayer games. What makes Evolve more appealing than Titanfall?
I think it's probably just the way that you work together and how like every character kind of has like their unique traits and roles. And so yeah, I mean, I saw firsthand that if you were not working as a team, you get eaten. So
did you get to eat? Did you ever get to be the monster?
No, I mean it was I was lucky to skip ahead of a fairly long line.
That was a long line.
And you get one match, and I was support class, and that's what I got to experience.
Damiani, do you think we should reward the game that gets the most hype? Should that be a thing we give a medal to?
A reward?
Yeah.
No, I think this is something for discussion down the line. It's like Brandon kind of already hit this point. It's just. Remember how excited we were for this game. Remember like what the possibilities were for this game when we saw it at this event. Like, man, this was like the greatest thing. And then reality sets in as you like play the final version. It's like, man, like why was I so duped by this? Or what happened? Like what? And then you can go back and go to all the interviews. Like, oh, they had to cut this feature. It's nice for the history of a game.
Specifically, have you ever been duped by an E3 demo where you're like, oh yeah, this game.
Was Alien Colonial Marines? Was that E3?
That's a good dupe. That's a great dupe. Another one for me personally was the Sonic game, Lost World.
Halo 2. Halo 2 was the biggest dupe ever.
Sonic Lost World, they cherry picked the best ones, the best stuff. The stuff and and it gets kept showing that.
Yeah.
And then they would like slowly reveal like one course of one new area at each event, and it was like you couldn't play it. Like, we're just showing you this off, but you can go back and play any of the other stuff that we've already shown off because it's really good.
Yeah.
And then it came out, and then it was not very good at all.
But
don't worry, the new one sucks. From what I played, it's very bad.
Oh, which one? Boom, Sonic Boom.
That game is trash.
You used the word "sucks" for it, even.
Oh yeah, it's pretty bad.
I think I might still give it a shot. Beyond all,
you should just to see how bad it is.
All right. Well, yeah. I made a bet on my show.
That's one where I played it at E3 Judges Week.
Yeah.
I fully expect that to be the final product. Like, I don't.
They've actually-
no amount of feedback is going to save that game.
No. They've promised they've changed it since that event even.
We'll see.
They promised.
They promised.
Sega promised.
Don't worry, guys. We promised. Just pre-order it and get it at GameStop, and it's changed.
I'll watch Ben play it. That's probably the extent to which I'll experience that game. I'll just watch and see how Ben goes through it. So hopefully we're not duped by Evolve. I think Evolve could be cool. I think
Evolve represents one of the things I'm most excited about in next gen is changing up who we are as players and not making games where it's like, oh well, there's different classes, but you're all just people, you know, and like you have something like Evolve or like Fable Legends where it's like I'm actually this like evil, you know, magician or whatever that's controlling all these traps and I can spawn enemies and stuff like that. And on Evolve, it's like I'm this monster, and I'm sure there's still monsters that they haven't.
They've got one under wraps, I think.
So that really shakes things up. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, one of my favorite. So I don't like play a lot of multiplayer games. One of my favorite multiplayer games was Metal Gear Online, and there was a mode where it's all of you versus Solid Snake. And for some reason, that was the most. I was having a blast. And normally, I don't have a blast playing multiplayer games. Being Snake and like taking dudes down and like feeling so proud that it's just like me against all these other guys. That was the highlight of like my entire like first 3 months of owning a PlayStation 3.
Arkham Origins had the Batman and Robin versus Thugs thing.
And you can, I can play as a thug?
Yeah, you can play as a thug. But
and
like,
I can beat up Batman and Robin?
Yeah,
so
that
was really
like,
cool, yeah.
That's swoop, or you can be the Joker. You can like summon the Joker onto the battlefield and he
okay.
can kill Batman. But like swooping down and grabbing a guard, like when that's a real person, it's the greatest thing ever that I actually like. You totally didn't see me and I just like, you know, completely by the rules set up in the game. I did a video about Battlefront where I was hoping that they would have like a 1 Jedi versus 40 Stormtroopers mode.
Yeah.
Where you'd have one player who has all these awesome powers and everybody else got to take them down.
And imagine being the Stormtrooper.
That kills him.
Yeah.
And then you get to be the Jedi the next turn.
Oh, yeah.
So exploring stuff like that in next gen, I'm excited. So I'm glad that the Left 4 Dead team is doing that.
Cool. Yeah, so I don't mean to be down on Evolve. I don't mean to be down on the crew. I just think E3 awards are a little silly.
A little.
I do mean to be down.
Awards are silly no matter what.
Daniel Bloodworth very deliberately down on the crew.
I mean, I'm still going to keep open mind. We'll see how it turns out. But being the last one of the year is not going to help them.
When did they come out?
Crew is out in like November.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Oh, yeah. No, that will hurt it for sure. Because I feel like driving games especially, you play for a long time. They seem to be designed to just like...
Oh, yeah, they take forever.
Yeah. You don't beat any of them in 8 hours. Good luck, the crew. Anyway, before we close, we got to do our closing bets. Damiani, are you excited or what?
He is excited. Look at that.
He looks a little excited about this. What are you so excited about?
I see you do the Lockerman. I'm highly anticipating that.
You know what? I wasn't quite satisfied. We got to find a new sound effect for locking him in. I'm not quite satisfied with what we had last week. By the way,
that let me down.
Because we're now owned by Defy, we had to change all our music, but also all our sound effects. So if you're wondering, like, why did they change the sound? That's why we had to do everything, change everything.
Watching you doing it is like seeing it at E3, and then watching in the video with the bad sound effect is like the reality, the finished product, like being let down.
I got duped you.
Yes.
You got duped. Yeah. Okay. Our bet this week, I think it's because we were talking about M-rated games so much. I wanted to do a fun thing. I'm going to go to ToysRUs.com next week. I'm going to look at the best-selling video games.
Oh.
What will be the best-selling video game at ToysRUs.com next week? Who won last week? I think it was Blood, right? No, it was me last week, so I get to choose whether I want to go first or last. I'll go first on this one. The best-selling video game on ToysRUs.com next week will be Mario Kart 8. Damiani, what's your bet?
I was thinking about that one.
That's why I went first.
I know. Whatever. Ghost. Call of Duty Ghost.
Call of Duty Ghost. Fine, all right.
I find that so hilarious.
Blood?
It's pretty... I'm going to go with the dumb Transformers game that we didn't get.
Oh, yeah. What is it called? Oh, the one where there's two worlds.
Darkspark.
Rise of the Darkspark.
Nice. Cool. You saved us a clarification for next week by coming up with that. And Brandon.
I was going to say Mario Kart, so I can't say
You
Mario
can't.
Kart?
No, that's mine, man. That's why we have an order.
But it's going to be Mario Kart. Yeah, I guess I'll just pick another dumb game, too. What else? What just came out? Oh, gosh, I don't know. Disney Infinity. There.
Okay. You know what else I think would have been a smart bet was Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
That was going to be my second one if I didn't get Mario Kart.
Did that PS4 game
Minecraft
come out?
it's always in the top 10 NPDs.
sure.
And so like the kids are the ones who's buying it.
Toys
I
R Us
think, at this
sells
point.
little foam axes or whatever.
Yeah. And before we go, I also have to talk about cover art. Last week, guys, I'm an idiot. Everybody, I'm a big idiot. Talking about like, oh, we can't have art anymore, so please send in your cover art. Legally, I'm not allowed to use your art as promotional art, like by law.
You don't have balls, Kyle.
Legally, I don't have the balls. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to roll in all the art that people submitted to me. This is it right now. If you're listening, please just enjoy this music and imagine like some great art submitted by great people who, assumed that I knew what I was doing, when in fact I don't ever plan ahead. It's a cute little Kyle Bossman quirk, and we're back in. Okay, thank you. Thanks everyone who submitted art. Sorry I didn't think that through. I don't even, at this moment, I don't know what our actual massive looks like on this episode. Because I'm going to have to come up with something. I'm just going to use a big Damiani face. Are you okay with that? And, last week's winner. Last week, we bet about Yacht Club Games, how many Twitter followers they would have, because Shovel Knight came out this last week and has had a full week of release. Hey, Shovel Knight's great. I really, really like Shovel Knight. Anyway, they were at 5,770 followers at that point last week. Today, they have 7,365, very close to Bloodworth's bet of 7,500, meaning that Daniel Bloodworth is this week's bet winner. That was a really good bet.
I was tracking that one. Yeah.
Were you single-handedly like throwing them followers or something?
No, I didn't retweet any of their stuff or anything.
I can't believe how close that was. You nailed that bet. By the way, I tallied up the global bet winners, so I now have like a total score of the season.
Oh,
yeah. So if anyone was curious where we stand right now, Brennan Jones has 1 point. Kyle Bossman has 3 points. Michael Damiani has 5 points. And Daniel Bloodworth now, with this week's win, has 6 points.
Nice.
Well, I thought Damiani would be in the lead.
Yeah, because you won like 3 weeks in a row. You really you started off real slow, I got to be honest, but then like caught up rapidly. He wins his bets.
I just want
you have something to say. Just say it. What are you trying to say?
I really won 5.
You won 5, yeah.
I expected to win 0.
Well,
at
like
this point.
sometimes it's just like Justin made a good bet, and you can just like waltz in and have more points, But
all right, so other people won for me.
Yeah.
I need to do more of that.
You won a lot of.
I need to send more people in my place.
That's true, you do. And then that's it. So Daniel Bloodworth, go ahead, close us off, and that's our episode.
Yeah. And now I still get to pitch a video.
Yeah,
so,
sorry, that is part of
that
it.
pitch. We're starting a new thing, which is not entirely a new thing. Called editorial reports for now, until we come up with a better name for it, if we do. But yeah, so the first one me and Ian did on 1001 Spikes. You can check that out. And I guess we're going to try to do these daily. Mm-hmm. So ambitious, but we'll see. But it's just the way, like, me and Brandon had similar ideas that converged, and it's a way to talk about more games. Could be games we reviewed, it could be games somebody else reviewed, it could be games that we don't have time to review, or whatever. Like 1001 Spikes, me and Ian were playing at the same time. It's like, hey, we should talk about this.
It's like a daily mini podcast.
Yeah,
they're pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
Exactly. Like you come to GT Time to watch the news and check out editorial reports.
I'm gunning for your job, Kyle. I'm going to
have us talk about a specific game. Yeah. But yeah, so follow all of us on Twitter. Definitely leave us comments. Let us know what you think. If you have any questions, if there's anything you actually want us to talk about. And pass it on to your friends. Have a good week.
Thanks for watching.
I had to pee so bad this whole show. I'm squirming so bad. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I love the Xbox. 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 I love the Xbox.